Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras here with ILTV's Morning Brief. Yom HaShoah, or Israeli Holocaust Remembrance Day, begins Monday evening. This is the annual day in which Israelis honor the over 6 million Jews killed throughout the Holocaust. And this includes massive candle-lighting ceremonies, religious ceremonies, and prayers for the dead, and of course the traditional sirens. One 2-minute siren at sundown as the Remembrance Day begins, and another at 11 a.m. the next morning, where people stop whatever they're doing and stand at attention in silence. But at the same time, Yom HaShoah is a chance to take stock in the population's growth since that tragedy. And according to the latest count by the Central Bureau of Statistics, there are roughly 14.7 million Jews around the globe, the largest grouping of which is right here in Israel. In fact, the CBS says that Israel has about 45% of the world's population, with 6.7 million Jewish citizens. And the vast majority of them are native-born Israelis, whereas only about 1 million are foreign-born citizens. Then next up is, of course, the United States with 5.7 million Jews, followed by France, Canada, and the UK, with 453,000, 390,000, and 290,000 respectively. Still, it's millions away from the global Jewish population of 16.7 million back in 1939. Rather, the numbers today are just about 100,000 people shy of the population in 1925. In other news, it's now day 2 since Israel's easing of lockdown restrictions due to the coronavirus. As Israel's recovery rate begins to overtake the rate of infection, the government has reduced many prohibitions in efforts to get the country's economy back on track. And in 2 weeks' time, Israeli leaders are set to review the results and either continue rescinding restrictions or reinstate them. But many health officials say that it's too soon to open the streets, and that in 2 weeks' time it may be too late, warning that a second outbreak of the virus would be both disastrous and imminent unless a proper testing and monitoring infrastructure is established as soon as possible, especially considering that we know that at least 25% of those with coronavirus are asymptomatic carriers, capable of spreading the virus unknowingly. Then, to make matters worse, new research across the globe is beginning to paint a terrifying new picture regarding the symptoms of the infected. Apparently, the real rate of asymptomatic infection may be as high as 60 to 70%, which is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it means that far fewer people are currently in mortal danger than previously thought. But on the other hand, it means that nearly anyone around you could be infected, and that if restrictions are lifted too soon, the death toll will undoubtedly spike significantly. So to put it simply, there is urgent need to expand testing across the board, especially amongst those who are not appearing sick. Now, Israeli Holocaust Remembrance Day, or Yom HaShoah, is a day of reflection and connection. But with many coronavirus restrictions still in force, the normal memorials are set to look very different this year. Still, that doesn't mean the memorials are canceled altogether. Not by a long shot. Now, typically, there are big ceremonies, candle lightings, sirens for moments of silence, religious services to honor the dead, and more. And conversely, there are no theaters, public entertainment, open bars, etc. But none of the big memorials are happening either in light of virus restrictions. Instead, look to the web for a huge wealth of other programs. First, there are survivor testimonies. Listening firsthand to the survivors' unique histories has never been more important. And this year, the Jewish Agency for Israel will be hosting 2 special virtual events with survivor Leah Hasson, whose testimony will be broadcast on Facebook in 8 languages. Then there will also be a somber song by Israeli musician Harel Skat, along with virtual discussions. Meanwhile, the World Jewish Congress and UNESCO have similarly put out a library of videos and media for people all over the world to mark Yom HaShoah. And the whole listing is available at aboutholocaust.org. Next, there's the virtual March of the Living, which will be live on Tuesday at motl.org, and dozens of other educational memorial programs. Finally, last but not least, the Yad Vashem National Holocaust Museum is asking the public to participate in this year's reading of the names. The full list of Holocaust victims' names compiled by Yad Vashem has been made public, and everyone is encouraged to record and publish video of themselves reading from the list under the hashtags Remember From Home and Shoah Names. Videos should be no longer than 15 seconds. That's all for now, but for more news from Israel, remember to like ILTV on Facebook and on Instagram, and to subscribe to us on YouTube. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.